Hi there. Welcome to the good life. This is my daily activity. Let's go ahead and adjust that just a little bit. There we go. My daily activity of discussing my objectives and my principles. And I'm going to try to do this in a little bit different way. I don't want to talk about it as if this is advice to anyone else. This is just a reminder for myself. So let me see if I can change the language as such. Also, I'm using the lapel mic. And there's a little bit of traffic noise as well as ocean noise, which might boggle things up. Let's see how this goes. So number one, first objective. These are the objectives and principles that I use to run my life. I do this every morning, and now I'm doing it in the evening too. The first objective is the good and effective, to be always ready to die. Just to have my life in such a situation that if I keel over right now, it was a good day to die. The second objective is the good and effective use of time. To not hurry through my moments, nor waste them, nor pretend like I've got a lot of them, because I don't. And the effective use of time, that's the good use of time. The effective use of time means that there's some productive end to that. Productive being the furtherance of well-being. I'll come to that when I get to objective number 5, purpose. So number 3 is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. These are the 7 objectives and 23 principles that I've so far made for myself. Oh, and I have a comment. Saint Giga, I hope all is well, my friend. Yeah, things are pretty good. Just sitting here by the beach, doing my good life meditation for the evening. I'm getting ready to go have dinner in just a little bit. I kind of like the way this works out. I recite the good life, but it's live, so if we want to talk, we can talk. And I'm just sitting here on the sand. It's kind of there's something going on out there on the pier right now. Every now and then there's some flashing lights out there. That's the Ventura Pier. That's kind of nice like that. Oh, and there we go. First visitor for Going Alone, Uvalde, Texas. Someone just popped in. David, is that you, David Squall? It is a nice place to wreck. See the light? I think that's a fisherman doing something up there. So anyway, we had so many people go to Going Alone last night. And believe I'm not doing this to foster attention to my site. It just happens to be that. See, I didn't even say anything about it, and already somebody popped in over there. So welcome. I had a really nice conversation with someone yesterday. After this was done, I went out and had my dinner, and while I was having dinner, I had a very pleasant conversation with someone who and someone says, "Hey, softypapa, force." I can't quite read that. Hey to you. I guess I'll go ahead and stand up. My idea was that I was going to sit. And Jack says, "Hey man, been watching you for like over 10 years. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. I appreciate the long support. Okay, I'm going to bundle up my pack here and continue my chat. How's the audio quality, by the way? I've got the lapel mic going. Is it mixed up? 10 by 10. Thanks, Saint Giga. Well, anyway, let's take a walk, shall we? All good, according to David. Can I just call you David? It's David Squall 351. Can I just call you David for short? Where shall I walk tonight? Oh, yeah, that LOL. Oh, thanks. Good. I think I missed a comment. Very good quality. Oh, glad to hear it. Great. Thank you for the feedback. So, I don't know. I don't feel so much like walking as much as just sitting. Let me just go closer to the water. So the third objective is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles, like I just said, which has been a long process. I think you need you need some years. Not necessarily to come up with the principles, but to vet them. Because we can assume the principles of others, but how do we know if they're sound or good without trying them out? And sometimes that takes some time. And I do this every day. I vet my own. Boy, that's dark. Oh, there's someone else's from Söderström, Sweden. I can't even begin to pronounce that. Wow, welcome from Sweden. It's too dark down here. Anyway, number 4, the cultivation of good emotional reactions. Boy, I had some episodes today where that was the case. My new job, it's a very humbling thing because I have so much to learn, and someone else just came over to the website. So a couple of things happened today that really I needed to monitor and control my emotional reactions, and I think it's getting better. I think it's largely because of practice, and I kind of see work and other places as a forum for that. It's almost like going to the gym and working out. It's like, let's see, and someone else just went to the site from Chino, California, down the road. Hi. I feel like a game show host calling out contestants. So there's that. Are you born again yet? Well, do you mean like a born again Christian? No. I died. I would have to say, given that I'm an apostate, given that I was a Christian, and I am no longer a Christian, I guess I would have to say that I'm dead again. I don't mean to be flippant, but I'm just trying to imagine. Yeah, no, I'm not a Christian, Risako. I'm an apostate. I stopped being a Christian. I decided I did not. Well, I didn't decide. I just stopped believing. Number 5 is the performance of good actions, just doing good things throughout the day. What is apostate? St. Giga asks. An apostate is someone who gives up a belief, particularly a religious belief. I think maybe exclusively a religious belief. What made you stop? Wow, Jack asks. And Risako says, oh, okay. I just stopped believing. I was a Christian, and then for a long time, and I simply believed, and then I started I was reading the New Testament in particular, and I started to question whether, why do I believe these things? What evidence, what reason do I have to think that these things are true? So I started investigating and asking my pastor, others, and I would get typically the same types of answers. You stopped 2 years ago. Yeah, I know the feeling, Jack. Basically, the people would tell me, read the Bible more, you'll get the answers. Stop asking such silly questions. They would say, look at the trees. What else could it possibly be? And then the most interesting one was when they would tell me, you just have to believe. It just takes faith, which at first made sense to me because I thought faith was a virtue. And then I realized that there wasn't anything that I couldn't believe on faith, which robbed faith of any element of being a virtue. And I simply stopped believing when I realized there was no more foundation for me to hold that upon, and that anyone could believe anything they want on faith. But I still read the Bible every day, every morning. Read Numbers 5 today. It was the 3rd day in a row I studied Numbers 5. I read Numbers 5 for the last 3 days because that's an interesting one. There's actually a bit of God's... hold on. There are many other ways to die again, not just by religion. The term die again. Wow, that looks like an interesting one. Let me bring that up again. I kind of faded away. Then I'll finish my thought. The term die again is used when a person realizes some abundant truth and leave the current reality of oneself. Ooh, that's a heavy one. That's an interesting one. I would have to say that I also died again then out in the desert because of the experiences that I had out there. There's no God guiding you or deciding your fate, only yourself and your choices. I tend to believe that's true, David. Of course, under the influence of all of this. What was I going to say? I stopped a thought, and I can't remember. Oh well. So number 5 is the performance of good action, just doing good things. Number 6 is the recognition of true limits and true opportunities, what we can and can't do, so we can keep ourselves within the lines, but all the while recognizing where we can go over the line, stretch things. And number 7 is the one thing slowly, just trying to do one thing at a time, slowly and deliberately. I've really been working on that a lot. I'm getting much better at that lately, at really moderating my every moment in action. Not perfect, but I'm getting close. I'm getting good. Not close to perfect, but I'm getting better. How's it sound, by the way? Now that I'm kind of away from the waves. That was the 7 objectives. Now let's talk about the 23 principles. I'll try to go fast. There's a comment. Southpaw said, ooh, I smell marijuana. Smeltpot says, dude, I've been watching your life since you uploaded the Hornet video. I've always thought this was a cool idea for a channel. Thank you. I really appreciate your that's a long time with me, Southpod. Thanks. And St. Giga says, it's so refreshing to hear you talk about life and be so open. I've been following you since a band in Japan and just wanted to say thank you for, it fades away. Thank you for all you, thank you for showing us your transformation to all of us. Well, thank you. That's the kind of comment that gets me to turn the camera on. It means a lot to me. And the really fascinating conversation I had with a visitor to Going Alone last night. So I tend to stalk people when they go to, if you go to goingalone.org, and again, this isn't a commercial, but if you go there, a little message pops up, I can see that. And if I'm free, I'll pop in and say, hey, how you doing? My wife says it sounds like I'm stalking people, but yeah, I guess I am. So, first principle of war. I'm at war against everything I hold true and everything you hold true. You tell me it's true, I'm going to ask you for your reasons. Likewise, I tell myself every day, what are my reasons? Nothing would please me more than to die bereft of any certitude. What a beautiful thing. What an exquisite state of doubt and skepticism, to die unsure of anything. I'm getting better at that. I just don't know. What a great state to be. 2 would be the principle of reason. Reason is the utility, the tool that I use in the war against what people claim and what I claim is true. And there are 3 sub-principles. Honesty, objectivity, and doubt. I think that's self-explanatory. Number 3 is the homunculus. Love saying that word. Homunculus is the imaginary little person that lives inside my head, running the controls, looking out the window of my eyes. I use that as a substitute for the idea of the soul, because I think when I die, nothing lives beyond me. I'm going to die and just rot and disintegrate away. So too the homunculus. It can't get out. Starve for air. Of course, it's not real. It's just an imaginary idea, like my consciousness, right? But it's interesting when you think about it that way, because it causes me to be more deliberate in life, and to not, think, well, there's always tomorrow, or there's always after. Piloting your meat suit. Yeah, I like that. That's a great phrase. Piloting your meat suit. Yeah. Thanks, David. Next one is the home of good and evil. Home of good and evil is up here with the homunculus. It's not out there in the stars. It's not written on the sea. It's not in the stones. It's not in the 10 Commandments. Although those are rules, they're not absolute, except for in the minds of those who choose to make them absolute. Right and wrong, good and evil, are opinions that we hold about the world around us that are indeed subjective, and they can become objective when you and I talk about it, debate about it, come to an agreement, and when 2 or more people agree about what constitutes right or wrong, then we have objective truth. Well, it's an objective opinion. It's an objective mission, mandate. It could still be wrong. It could be wrong about. We could decide that adding battery acid to the drinking water is a good idea, and you and I are in agreement. Doesn't mean it really is a good idea. It's a sticky thing. This idea of truth, the home of good and evil, written in chalk above the layer of the homunculus. Next is the 5, the principle of purpose. The 2 comments. That is a way to say it. In fact, you can identify your body as an instrument moving around in space. I like that. I am Jackie. And there's another comment here. Oh, and I missed it. Hold on. And Chris says, I was out in Garlock and Red Mountain today and made me think of you when you passing the train track. Did a train go by? Did you hear it toot its whistle? And did it do it 4 times? I wonder. Number 5, purpose. I have 3 purpi. 1 is biology, to get my genes into the next generation, and that's simply because that seems to be the reason, the one objective truth that's out there. And hey, someone from San Pablo, California just popped in the website. Welcome. If you're there, go ahead and subscribe if you like, and you'll get updates when I do blog posts and the like. No trains, sadly. But Chris, isn't there something even better sometimes when there's not? Love your beautiful wisdom. It's so refreshing. Well, thank you, Brandon. I don't know if it's wisdom, more madness than anything else, but I'll take the nice words. Thanks. But Chris, about the other idea about the trains, isn't it something? It is. One of the things I like about the railroad out and someone just popped in from Simi Valley, California, just down the road. We're not far. One of the things I like about the Siberia for the desert is that There's trains come by just enough to punctuate the empty, and then their passage, it like leaves a vacuum. It just sucks it all. It sucks all the civilization away, and I'm left with the emptiness, and that heightens that experience of what I call the great indifference in my book, Going Alone. And by the way, if you want a free copy of Going Alone, all you need to do is, again, go to the website. There's a link there. Click on the thing. It'll say contact me. Just send an email dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com, and I'll send you a copy. Chris says, yeah, it makes it great. It does. Next, it's number 6. Oh, there were 2 other purposes. OMW? What does that mean? 2 other purposes. There was the purpose of biology. The second principle is virtue. Virtue is defined in my book as the pursuit of well-being. On my way. Oh, very good. Wow. All right. But the point is, if you want a copy of the book, you go to the purchase thing, and then there is a purchase. You can go to the Amazon and buy it if you want. But if you just want me to send you a copy, click on the free get a signed copy thing. It'll lead you to a dead link. It looks like a button you push on. It says, contact me. And I have to fix that, because all I want you to do is just send me an email. Or if you join the website, you can send me a message on the site as well. Dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com. It's long but easy. The 2 other purposes behind biology are virtue, which is the pursuit of well-being, and then a mission. I will ask you generously, do you know about the occult? Generously or generally? I don't know. I don't know. I know next to nothing about the occult. I don't. It seems interesting. I kind of treat it like religion. And someone just went to the website from Brownsville, Texas. Welcome. The third, lingering there, the third purpose was the purpose of mission. And that is because, sure, biology tells me I should, or nature tells me I should have babies. I decide that Chris says, what? Question mark? I don't know. Question mark back at you. Is that a question mark? The second one is then virtue, making the world a better place. And the third one is mission, where I want to pick something that I'm working on. Like this year, my mission is to master my new job where I'm working, because I have a chance to do good there. It is the science of knowledge. The occult is the science of knowledge. Was the email correct? Oh, did you type the email? Let me see. I don't see it. It's dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com. I don't see any emails coming through here, but that's it. Just Dinner by the River. If it doesn't go through, just let me know on another one of these, and we'll straighten that up. Also on the website, you can join and send me a message there. That's another way to go. So then I think you get the idea for the purpose. Hey, we only have now, that leaves us with like 13 left. Let's do it. Or 18 left. Here we go. Number 6, the atomic principle. I always have to do this. I have to reach up and grab some sand. Real handy at the beach. Everything, atomic principle. Everything is bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming, just like that handful of sand. So you and me, we're going to dissolve away to nothing before long. It's good to remember. Number 2, next one is the principle of nature. No, not nature. Yeah, nature. Not nature like birds and bees. Nature like the nature of things. Like it's the nature of the sea to have waves usually. It's the nature of a pier to jut out into a body of water. It's the nature of a human being to live, reproduce, and die. You get the idea, right? The nature of things. It's nice to think about what informed that nature is. It's also the nature of personalities to have particular personalities, so that we can be reasonable in our expectations. Likewise, then the next principle is a bookend on that one. Principle of nature is the way things are. The next principle is the principle called the pirate ride. matey. And all that is simply an idea that suggesting that we don't have free will, that our nature in conspiracy with the nature of the universe, all the things that are conspiring around us, cause us to make the decisions that we make. And though we're free to make whatever decision we like, I don't think we would have a choice. We would have any other option but to make exactly that choice. I don't think free will is real. It's a strange paradox. I can't prove it. It's the closest thing in my worldview to something that would be held on faith. It's my religion. Chaos is how I define nature. Haha. Well, it does seem to be the and someone started following me on Instagram. Yeah, I would agree. I would have to agree. It all tends to be conspiring towards chaos. The occult is in some ways bent because of many people who are wanting. I can never read this fast enough. This is from I Am Jackie. The occult is to some ways bent because of the many people who are wanting to know about it, but I do recommend to study the Stellar Man and Hermesidians. I need a good reason to do that. I don't know what those things are, and my reading stack is this big. If you can maybe offer me a reason why I might do that, I might do that. You send me an email. Give me a suggestion about that. Like I said, it's just that there's so little time and so much to read. No free will. Pirate riding because Pirates of the Caribbean. R-M-A-T. So next is after the pirate ride is the principle of maturity. It's two sub-principles, wisdom and fortitude. We become mature when we become wise by learning from our mistakes, but we only actuate when we have the fortitude, the strength of character to not make those mistakes again. So maturity is a cultivated thing. Moving along now, the social principle. We're social animals. We need one another to survive, and our best ends are social ends. So even though I like being alone in the desert, I am a social man. My family is foremost, especially in the last year or so. Wow, that's really changed. That's one of the reasons I'm not doing this so much. Really trying to recapture the time and the commitment that I lost some of that in my distraction by my public life. Next one is but I can sneak a half hour of this in, and that's fine, especially now that I'm separated from my family during the week here doing my job. Next one, and this is the principle, this is number 9. Principle number 9, the public speaking. I try to use as few words as possible, small words if I can, when they'll do. And I try to, whenever I talk about somebody else, I imagine that they're here listening to what I'm saying, or that at least they can hear what I'm saying. That keeps me from gossiping. It works. It works really, really well. Next is the principle of the Feast of Offal. Feast of Offal is when we get upset and we throw out all that upset into the world around us, road rage, letting our neighbor have it, being mean to our coworkers and the like, and that just spreads the misery around, and they wind up spreading it to somewhere else. And it's a strange thing how we consume that in and then spill it out to others. So I try to put a stop to it by 1, not doing that, and 2, when I do it, not to spread it around. It's a tricky thing, but it can be done. Next one is principle of temperance. Temperance is just a controlled consumption of everything: food, drink, work, play, sex, whatever you want. There's 3 sub-principles. And by the way, all this stuff is in the book, Going Alone. There's a whole chapter called The Good Life, where I go out into the desert, discover there is no God, and then come back and write about what am I going to do about that. And someone else started following me on Instagram. What's going on over at Instagram? Okay, so the temperance is the ability to control our consumption. And there are 3 sub-principles. Suffering, because we suffer when we deny ourselves our want. Simplicity, because a simple life is a temperate life. And apathy. Apathy is a strange word. It sounds like a bad thing, but it's not necessarily. Apathy, as I apply it, as the Stoics apply it, is simply the recognition of what is and is not within our control, and to attending to the things that are within our control and not really worrying too much about the stuff that isn't. For example, getting a flat tire on the way home. I have the control to make sure I have good tires, but even if I do and I pick up a nail, it's not going to do me much good to be upset. That was outside of my control. Don't have much control over the weather, don't have much control over the actions of my coworkers and my family and my friends, but I do have absolute control over how I react to such things. I've been back to, remember the other principle, the principle of true limits and true opportunity, that was an objective number 5, the recognition of true limits and true opportunity. That is an instrument by which we can recognize where apathy can be applied. Moving along now. Now we're well over the halfway mark. The next one after temperance is why do I stumble here sometimes? After temperance is distraction. The world's a dark. I shouldn't say the world. The universe out there, just like that. It's a pretty dark, hollow, scary place. Hollow as in empty. I am Jackie. Free will is a way to say that what we are allowed. This sounds. I want to read this. Come back. Free will is a way to say that we are allowed to act on what we are doing, that there is a possibility to create a new action of the last one. That is the way I see it. We are allowed to do it, to create an action. But could we make any choice other than the choice that we do make? That's my question. Saint Giga says, could you tell me the email once, for I would love a copy. Sure. It's dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com. Just like eating dinner by the river. That's what actually that email comes from. I took Emily. There's actually a YouTube video of Emily and I having dinner by a river in Japan when she was really little. It's an old video, and I memorialized that evening with my daughter in my email address. Got it. Good, you got it. So back to distraction. We distract ourselves so that we don't have to see what's there beyond the pier. We don't want to know that. It's emptiness. It's scary. It's the great indifference. And that's the next principle. The agency in the great indifference. You and I are agents. That pier is an artifact of our of human agency. It refreshes, it kind of comforts us, even if there's nobody there. It reminds us of humanity. In fact, life itself does that. The very fact of birds and bees and plants and whatever. That's why I go to an empty desert, to eliminate the distraction, so that I can see past it at the great indifference, which is a big old fat nothing. And for the most part, my experience has been that nobody wants to see that. Very few want to see that. I recommend seeing it. There's two responses typically. Well, one is to, well, what the hell with it, and maybe despair. Another one might be to say, well, okay, well, maybe the universe doesn't have anything on offer for me, but what's to stop me from making a life worthwhile nonetheless? That's what the good life is. The good life is my attempt to answer the apprehension of the great indifference, the encounter of the great indifference. Next is the principle of the best seat in the house. There's to not want to be anyone else, to not want to be anywhere else, and not want to be doing anything else, but be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, all the while striving to make things better. The next one is the path of wildness, which is how all this got started. I am Jackie says, many people are ruled by fear of the unknown. So yes, that is so. I agree with you completely. Fear. It's a frightful thing when we have very good reason to be fearful. Yeah. But you can't get away from the facts. We can just distract ourselves. Path of wildness is how all this started. I held on to that principle for 4 years or so. In Japan, it was the only one I had. And it was just a motivation to push, to get unstuck when I was stuck in life, to push into new life, new ways of doing things. It's a simple formula. It's a formula by which you recognize you're stuck. You recognize you want to be unstuck. So you give yourself a little bit of time to think how to get unstuck. When you get that time is up, you either make a decision, or if you need more facts, give yourself a little more time and then do the same thing over and over. But watch out, don't continue too far or end up an old man or an old woman and you've just been deliberating all your life. So what I say is that within a reasonable amount of time, take the... That's an example for apathy. Right? There's nothing I can do about what that guy or gal is doing, right? But I can choose to temper my reaction and to simply wait it out until the car goes by. All these principles kind of weave together. Anyway, after a while, you deliberate, you consider, you deliberate, you consider. After a while, say, screw it, I'm going with my gut feeling, take the facts on top of that, and I'm going left or right or there or him or her or that job or whatever the heck it may be, and just go for it. That's the path of wildness. I'm on the path right now, this decision to give up the safe and sane job that I had before. A great job, very secure, great environment, great co-workers. I loved it, and I gave it all up to come here for a whole new life, and it's pretty difficult, but I'm glad I did. I'm on the path of wildness. There was no way I was going to have enough facts to make this decision. I collected as many facts as I could, and then with my wife and my daughter, I made the decision to do it. Is it hard? Yeah. Is it scary? Hell yeah. But I'd much rather live a series of adventures through life rather than sit sanely and soberly waiting out the end. Path of wildness. Now, moving on, risk of avoiding risk. Risk of avoiding risk, there's two types of opposite ends. One is the safe and sane, get an education, find a spouse, get a good job, get a 401k, buy a house, and then wait for retirement, and then stay nice and safe until the end, and then you die and get interred. The other option is maybe pursue whatever it is your dream is at the expense of those other things, and live that life, right? They're two kind of polar opposites, and we don't have to have one or the other. But the idea is that I used to think that this one was the easy one, right? Because it's one everybody endorses and encourages. That if you did just this, then you're going to feel like you missed out. But if you do the opposite one, if you go for the wild life, you're going to wind up really missing out as well with the security, the family, and the like. And I used to call this the shallow end and this the deep end, but now I don't do that anymore. I consider the shallow end is whichever one you go for. The deep end is the one that you neglected. It could go either way. So I'm trying to do both. For me, it's I think I struck a pretty good balance, given that I've been married for 33 years, but I've also tempered that with adventure. But it has cost me something. I saw a comment. St. Gaga says, thank you for all these inspiration words, Kurt. I have got to go, but I sure will chat soon. My name is Esai. Take care. Esai. Is that a Japanese name? Thank you very much, Esai. I hope I'm saying it right. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for visiting. Should be doing this frequently, so come on by anytime. So that's the risk of avoiding risk. Now the next one after the risk of avoiding risk is the sin and damnation. Sin and damnation. Yeah, there's sin. I'm not a believer. Why do I have sin? Isai. Oh, okay, good. Isai. And haha, forgive me if it takes me a little while. I'm still trying to remember all my new coworkers' names. #56. It's rough getting old. Can't remember anything anymore, Isai. I am Jackie. Cause and effect, action, reaction. All actions will result as a play for this planet to watch. That's an interesting perspective. Sin and damnation. I do believe there is sin. Sin basically is choosing to accept things that may not be true. And I believe that there are 5 subcomponents, sub-principles of sin and damnation. Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, and dogma. They're all the same thing basically, which is a willingness one way or the other to accept things that may or may not be true by virtue of institution, dogma, tradition, faith, whatever the case may be. They all lead to that. The damnation part comes in the choosing to live with those things that may not be true. It's a damnable living, right? Who wants to live with things that aren't true? I'd rather say I don't know and live with that. So next, I'm closing in is after sin and damnation is complete. Is it complete oblivion? Yes, it's complete oblivion. When we die, there's no reunion with the ones we loved, gone before, or those to die later. There's no reconciliation with anyone, and there's no chance for final justice. No final reunion, no final reconciliation, no final justice. When we're dead, we're dead. It's all gone. Again, atomic principle. This is our one chance we get. So make use of it. Putting it off till later is a hefty gamble. Although maybe I'll get the last. Maybe I'll be in for a big surprise, right? Not the last laugh, but the last terror. Jackie says you should maybe add overthinking. It completely mental blocks your mind. Also distracts the person at whole. I didn't quite catch what you said. It mental blocks your mind. Almost disillusion the person in a whole. You think so? I don't know. I like thinking. It's fun. It's like threading through a puzzle to the other side, or climbing a mountain or something like that. I can understand how sitting with what we do know and meditating is a useful thing. So, but is it really possible to overthink? I think if you don't apply reason, then you can overthink yourself into fantasy. But if you're applying reason, wouldn't that mean that you're objectively leading yourself, squirming your way more and more to truth, more to what is true? But thanks for the thought. I'll think about it. Or maybe I shouldn't. Okay, closing in on the end now. Complete oblivion. Next one is the great life adventure. This thing that I like to do, which is taking off an adventure, making an adventure. Fortunately, I make that adventure with my wife. I've got a partner who likes that. I think it really makes all the difference, to pepper life with one or more. How about a whole bunch of great life adventures? I'm doing one now. Next one is season of philosophy. That comes typically, well, it can happen anytime. It's a time when you've got the ideas and you want to get them out like I'm doing right now. My simple point is that do it while you've got the motivation to do that, because if you wait, your mental faculties, circumstances change, the words won't be there, your mental faculties may diminish, you may die, you're gone, your chance is gone. So start doing it young and keep it up. I'm not trying not to give advice to others, just trying to say that's what the advice I try to tell myself. And I'm almost done. Next one is bullseye aim. Imagine throwing an axe. Sometimes it's going to hit the mark, mostly it's not. Just try to remind myself that. Every day at work, I'm making so many mistakes, especially because I'm new to the job. And I just keep on reminding myself I'm throwing that axe. I'm way off the mark sometimes, but I'm gradually getting better and better. I'll never be perfect, but I'm getting better. It helps to remember that when I don't hit the target. Two more, just two. The second to last is the uphill climb. It's kind of like the path of wildness, upward and forward. I'm always asking myself, am I moving upward and forward? Is it difficult? I want it to be difficult. I want life, like my dad used to say, if you're not bleeding, Kurt, you're not learning. I want to be bleeding. I want to be learning. Brittany Field says, here, hi Brittany. It's good to see you back. One more. This is the principle of arena and utility. That someone says, Papa, kuraru. Is that Sam? Kurai. Kurai in Japanese. Papa. Yeah, it's me. Hi. Last one, arena and utility. This world is an arena for the development of our objectives and principles, of relationships, of opportunities, of challenges, of adventures. And the principles and objectives that we develop or that we assume from others are the utilities that we use along the way. That's all I try to remind myself of. And that's it. That's my good life meditation. I do this every single morning from start. My day always begins. I do the good life meditation first thing right out of bed, and then I read a chapter of the Bible. And even though I'm not a non-believer, because I like to study it because it's interesting, and then I begin my day. This is a comment here. And Jackie, a purpose to life is to grow, and that is for the whole universe. In declines too, see now it just fades away before I can read it. Try this again. In declines too, you die, the earth will bury you, the planet dies, the empty space will bury it, and so on, it expands. I want to understand that. The purpose of life is to grow. I guess so. I guess we've got to grow. I mean, what makes that purpose? I mean, I could see biologically that we have to grow from child to adult and then make more of ourselves and get our genes into the next generation and die. But is it important to grow mentally or intellectually or I almost used the word spiritually because I shouldn't, because I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's any playbook. It just happens to be the chemistry of the earth that we call biology continues by virtue of the fact that it's self-replicating. And we're just a complex example of that self-replication. I don't know. So maybe I'll overthink this for a bit. But for now, I'm going to stop. It's time for me to I've been just doing this by the boardwalk. People have been walking by looking at me. What am I up to? So I think I'm going to head now. Does the earth care about potatoes? Cat Daddy says. Now that's something I need to think about. I'm going to walk out to the end of this pier and I'm going to think about, does the earth care about potatoes? The purpose is very hold, but it is just like that. But thank you, Kurt. Very hold? H-O-L-E-D? What does that mean? What does that mean if something's purpose is hold? I don't know. You've got me thinking. So I'm going to walk out to the end of the pier now. Maybe I'll quiet the mind. Maybe I'll think a little more. And then I'll go find a nice place for dinner. I know what I'm going to eat for dinner. It's going to be chili and cornbread at the Nature's Cafe. It's like an empty void. Oh, okay, that kind of hold. And then from there, I'm going to go back to my Airbnb for the night. And I'm going to wish you all well. And there's another comment. I should keep the glasses on. Risako says, hi, Risako. I gotta bring it up again. Something about Jewish scripture. Will you study Jewish scripture, Muslim scripture, or just Christian scripture? So actually I'm I read every chapter of the Bible in 3 Bible types: the King James version, the New International Version, and then the Torah. So I'm studying, I'm studying the Torah, so I guess I've got the Jewish part covered, and I will study the Quran as well, but I'll probably be dead before I get there, because at the pace I'm going, it's like taking me a month to 2 months to get through a single chapter of the Bible. It's taking me forever. I'm going to be dead. I probably won't even, I'll be lucky if I make it halfway through the New Testament before I'm dead, unless the apocalypse comes, right? Anyway, and then I'm screwed. Thanks for joining me, everybody. How many minutes? 40 minutes? I thought it was going to be less time. Jackie says, sometimes things grow and repeat and process. Whoa, all kinds of stuff. Hold on. Well, I can hold it and it stays up, while others seem to stop. And that stop makes nothing. What? Hold on, I got to read it. Some things grow and repeat that process, while others seem to stop, and that makes nothingness in a sense. I'm not sure I get that. Risako says, wow, your dedication. Well, I'm trying. And Brittany says, good night. I'm going to rewatch this video. Bye, Kurt. Good night, Brittany. And then something, have you tried the Tao Chi Ching? I read the Tao, I'm not saying it right. I think I read that years ago. I don't remember. I will. Have a good one, Kurt. Anyhow, I am Jackie. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'll see you all again sometime. Maybe. We'll see. Take care. Have a good evening. And be safe, but not too safe. And someone says, I got a free copy of the Bhagavad Gita handed to me between classes once. It's not a religious either, but that one's got some good notes for self-improvement too. Thank you. Whoa. I just clicked the report button. Someone else says, see you later. Bye, Kurt. Bye, everybody. Take care. See, there's the honk horning, just apathy all day long.